Hello and happy gorgeous Monday. Welcome to Storm Team 2 Beyond the Forecast. What a start. Fabulous start to the week, and enjoy it while we have it, because we're going to have rounds of rain and cooler temperatures once again. Hello, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Stanonis.
And I'm Maroney.
I just popped my head out back, our back door, ground observation, what we like to call it, and just sunshine.
I know, I feel
so
like
good.
The cameras are not doing it justice for how gorgeous it looks out there. Like, it almost looks kind of cloudy on our electric tower camera, but it looks so beautiful outside.
Oh, nice. So hopefully you can get a little lunch break in, or maybe evening time, because we are going to have the warmth, temperatures above average, which we won't be feeling for the next many days. So today's kind of like enjoy it while we got it.
This is really the only day where we get the mild temperatures and the sunshine.
Yes.
So it's the perfect storm, and actually enjoy it, because the rest of this week just isn't looking that spectacular, unfortunately.
Today it actually is feeling like we should be in May,
Yeah.
and gorgeous. Enjoy it while we have it for sure, because wait till you see the forecast. Waves of rain, temperatures once again below average for many days. So right now we have the mostly sunny skies, and basically across most of our region we're enjoying that thanks to high pressure over the mid-Atlantic region. So we are looking at, though, this system off to the northwest. We have this area of low pressure, also associated warm front, cold front. So that's going to be dropping down. And between these two systems, we actually have a tighter pressure gradient. So that's what's causing some gusty winds for today, and also that south-southwest flow. So we are pumping in the warmth, but a bit breezy, and also those winds funneling along the length or fetch of Lake Erie. So we are seeing some gusty winds for the Lake Plains, basically for Buffalo, into Niagara Falls, inland to Batavia. I'll show you those winds in a moment. We want to start with the temperatures. Feeling oh so nice. We have mid to lower 60s, even 62 degrees in Buffalo, and you could see even some low 60s, right around 60 for areas even south. And we'll all be bumping up with those temperatures today with that warmer flow of air, and also the sunshine. Just a delightful day for you. There's that little breeze also for today. High temperatures well into those 60s, maybe some mid to upper 60s expected, with a mix of clouds, mostly sunshine. We'll start to see clouds increasing, though, as we head into later on in the day, as then we'll finally see some rain coming in, but not until probably later evening hours. And then we could have some heavy downpours as well. It's going to be a warm night. I mean, low temperatures, mid to upper 50s to near 60. So here's a wide shot here of future look as we track this for you. So not much for today and into this evening in terms of precipitation, but look at that. We are going to see for later evening, finally, some heavy downpours at times, and we do include Buffalo Metro into Niagara Falls. After about 9 p.m. we'll start to see some of these rain showers moving through, moderate to even briefly heavy at times, and into at least a first part early morning tomorrow. So here's future look. We'll show you our area, western New York and northern Pennsylvania. Just that beautiful flow from the south and sunshine, and you can see south-southwest winds into this evening. We're going to finally see, though, some of those heavy downpours coming through, even a rumble of thunder, some isolated thunderstorms as well into the overnight. So just be ready, have your rain gear ready once again for your start tomorrow morning. We'll be dealing with some of these rain showers, although it does look like more off and on for your Tuesday. Evening time, though, we'll watch maybe some downpours, mainly south and inland, but just be ready for the rain. And then some widespread rain looks like returns for later Tuesday night, overnight, and into at least a portion of Wednesday. So just wet conditions expected over the next couple days, with some brief dry periods as well. And we're feeling the levels of humidity bumping up a little bit, as you can see, for today into even tonight, before that cold front comes through for later tomorrow, and then we're back to refreshing air for the rest of the week. Here are these winds now. So sustained winds right now with these wind speeds, 20 miles per hour in Buffalo, 23 for Niagara Falls, and you can see that flow of air from the southwest and south and funneling along the lake. So that's where we're seeing some brief gusty winds for our northern zone with our usual microclimates. You can see 33 for those wind gusts miles per hour in Buffalo, 36 for Niagara Falls. And we'll continue to have the winds gusting about 30 to even 40 miles per hour, below wind advisory criteria, but it'll be a little gusty breeze out there, breezy into this evening, and then again into tomorrow as well, especially for the first half of the day and ahead of that front. And we'll have those winds probably about 25 to 35 for tomorrow. And then that front moves through, then you can see not as much to talk about with those winds as we head into Tuesday night. We are cooling off. There's that cool pool of air, even a little chilly at times for some of these mornings. Not as chilly as we just dealt with those areas of frost for several mornings. But after that warm start to the week today, we will be cooling off once again. Temperatures running below average with the highs and lows pretty much the rest of the week and into majority of the upcoming weekend. So here are your temperatures for today. Nicely in those 60s, even approaching near 70 for some cases, especially inland from the relatively cooler lake waters for this time of year in the 40s. Tomorrow we'll start out with temperatures, 50s, even some low 60s for the first half of the day. Then that front moves through. We do cool off for later Tuesday night into Wednesday. We will have more refreshing air mass. And note, temperatures probably returning those lows back to the 30s, it looks like, for Thursday morning and probably again for Friday morning. So just heads up on that. We're going to change our rain gear back into probably a winter jacket, at least briefly, for a couple mornings. So those temperatures, this time of year we should be in those mid to lower 60s. So we're at average for, well, above average today, at average for tomorrow, but then we will be dropping with our temperatures for the rest of the week into at least the first part of the upcoming weekend, running about 10, even maybe 15 degrees below average before then we bump up a little bit with our temperatures, probably in time for Mother's Day on Sunday. So the next few days, we're also gonna, with the cooler air coming in, be dealing with those rounds of rain, even heavy at times, especially over the next couple days. So I will reiterate once again, enjoy the beautiful warm evening while we have it and the rest of today. And then the rain arrives for later night and overnight and into at least some rounds of rain for tomorrow. Temperatures dropping by nightfall, and then also we'll have continuing rain chances and cooler conditions for pretty much the rest of the week and at least into a portion of the upcoming weekend. So yeah, we're just trending after that warmth to start the week. We're going to be trending below average for many days, but at least it's still not the worst because our averages are continuing to go up. So even by the end of this week and into the weekend, we're going to have average high temperatures mid 60s, lows in the mid 40s. So yeah, we're trending a bit below average, but still not too chilly overall. And then of course our longer daylight hours continue. And I wanted to note Sunday for Mother's Day, sunrise will be just before 6 a.m. and sunset just about 8:30 p.m. And hopefully we get some sunshine for at least a bulk of the weekend. I think we will. As we look at tonight's forecast, partly clear skies. We'll continue to have that sunshine right on into the evening hours, and then we'll have clouds increasing, rain arrives, maybe a few rumbles of thunder too for late evening into the overnight. We'll be a bit breezy right through tonight and into tomorrow. We're going to be warm too. Temperatures running about 10 degrees above average with our lows, mid to upper 50s. And so this evening, before that rain and clouds come in, we're going to be warm. We'll have temperatures maybe for some dining out. Early evening especially, we'll have temperatures continue to be in those 60s with some sunshine. Then those clouds will be increasing. I always like to throw in the dining out forecast when I can because we don't get it too much, at least this time of year. All right, Tuesday, the rest of today we'll have, at least for the rest of today, we'll have sunshine. Rain comes in later tonight. And then for Tuesday, we'll have those on and off rain showers, maybe a few thunderstorms too, especially south and inland. But for the most part, it does look like we'll have plenty of dry time too. We'll have high temperatures in those 60s and then cooling off as we head into Tuesday night, lows in the 40s to start your Wednesday off. We'll have some on and off rain showers expected. It'll be cooler with those highs running almost 15 degrees below average in those low 50s. And then we start to get a little chillier for later Wednesday night and into Thursday. And then we'll probably be dealing with some rounds of rain once again, and probably the bulk of that widespread rain Tuesday night into early Wednesday, then those on and off rain showers, and that does look like it clears out for the most part as we head into Wednesday evening. And then it looks like more isolated nuisance activity to at least wrap up the week with temperatures still on the cooler side. Plenty more dry time though for the second half of the week. Then the weekend, we'll keep an eye on this for you, but right now it does look like we'll have a mix of clouds and some sunshine. It will be cooler to start the week off, maybe some isolated shower chances, but plenty of dry time as well. And then temperatures do look to bump up, probably timing for Mother's Day on Sunday for the second half of the weekend, and hopefully at least into the first part of next week. But I know it's something we'll be keeping an eye on since there's going to be so many outdoor activities and lots of celebration this weekend. So fingers crossed we actually at least get closer to average.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we kind of get around that 60-degree mark, I think it's hard to complain about that this time of year. It's not too bad.
And I feel like the sunshine, even if it's chilly, it just always makes it feel so much better.
And it's always very relative, and because we're going to be coming off of those temperatures in the upper 40s, those upper 50s are going to feel great on Mother's Day.
Exactly. And then hopefully, we finally, it looks like the second half of the month will be turning things around with the warmer than average temperatures.
Things are trending a little bit better,
almost there. So coming up after the break, you're gonna go
I'm gonna do a little bit of a May the 4th theme. That's my tease. You'll have to come back to see what it is.
Welcome back. Okay, Lauren, you got your segment, very timely for May 4th.
Oh my God, wait, did I hear the Star Wars music playing? That's so fun. Yeah, so I figured, for May the 4th be with you, I would talk about one of the forces that plays a lot into a lot of things astronomically specifically, so bear with me, I am no astrophysicist, but I thought it might be a little bit fun to talk about gravity, which is one of, the big forces that plays a huge role in our lives, whether we like it or not. So there is this super fun equation in order to determine what the gravitational force is between two objects, because any two objects do have gravitational force, but whenever we're talking about it, it's usually celestial bodies like planets, stars, moons, because those things are significantly more massive. And as you can see, mass is directly related to what that gravitational force is. However, it is also inversely related to the square of the distance between those two objects. So I'll get into the solar system in a moment, but take for instance a planet like Mercury, certainly not as massive as something like Jupiter, which given the right circumstances could literally be its own star, a small star, but still its own star. But because it is so much closer to the sun, that distance, which gets squared in the denominator, so that creates more of an impact on what that force is going to be, there's probably a greater gravitational force between Mercury and the sun as compared to Jupiter in the sun, even though those are much more massive objects. And then, so that is the mass of one object, the mass of the other object, the distance between their two centers of gravity. We're finding the force, and G is the gravitational constant. It is the number that makes all of this work that Sir Isaac Newton figured out. 6.674 times 10 to the negative 11 newtons times meters squared over kilometers squared. So basically that's so you can cancel out those meters squared, which you get from the radius between the distance between the two objects, which is calculated in meters for this equation, and mass is obviously done in kilograms because kilograms are mass, pounds are weight, which is different. So taking a quick look at our solar system, obviously not to scale. I tried to get it a little bit to scale, but obviously Jupiter is almost as big as the sun, which is not the case. But what you notice is that planets that are a lot closer to the sun move a lot faster around it. So Mercury obviously has the shortest journey around the sun, and it moves the fastest as well. I mean, even just take Earth as an example. I did draw these orbits as circles just because that was easier for when I was creating the graphic, but orbits are not a perfect circle. There are times when we are about 3 million miles closer to the sun compared to when we're at our furthest point from the sun. And when we are closer to the sun, we're actually moving faster around it compared to when we're farther, we are moving slower. So those planets like Neptune and Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter move a lot slower around the sun because that distance, which gets squared when we are calculating that gravitational force, creates a weaker relationship, so it's not being pulled so much. And so basically what happens with gravity is that it's a force, it bends space, it also bends time, which bends my mind, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. But when you're thinking about how gravity works, how things are drawn toward one another, think about a bowling ball on a trampoline. So you have the trampoline, but then that bowling ball, that massive object, it sinks, it bends everything around it. So if you were to drop a golf ball on the trampoline, it is going to roll in toward the center. That's that kind of gravitational attraction, that pull that all those things have toward the center of that object. However, so the reason why we don't fall into the sun, I was trying to look a little bit, again, no astrophysicist here, but the way that the nebulas formed when our solar system was created, the Earth has a direct velocity, but then it's that pull toward the sun that actually gives us that circular motion around it. So that's why we don't just go into the sun and burn up. We just orbit it and it keeps us alive. And that is kind of how that works with gravity bending space. So I did want to talk about what a year looks like on each planet. So these are what days are when we're speaking in terms of Earth. So Mercury, they a year, obviously, definitionally, is one trip around the sun. Mercury, they have an 88-day year. Venus, a 225-day year. Earth, obviously 365. We're rounding to whole numbers. If you want to get specific, it's 365 and a quarter. That's why we have leap years. Mars, 687 days. Jupiter, 4,333 days. Saturn, 10,759. Uranus, 30,687. And Neptune, 60,190. You see, Uranus and Neptune, those are the furthest planets from the sun, but Neptune's year is almost double what Uranus is because, again, it is farther and you are squaring that, so it is quite significant because if you're looking at their size, they're pretty comparable in size. I think Neptune is a little bit smaller, but they're almost called like the twin ice giants because they are pretty similar in size. Now, I kind of broke this down also into what they are in terms of Earth years. Obviously, Mercury, it's about a quarter of an Earth year. Mars is just shy of 2 Earth years. Saturn is just shy of 30 years. If you've ever heard someone talk about their Saturn return, that's because around the time you are turning 30, Saturn will be in the same exact spot that it was when you were born. Sometimes people have existential crises at that moment. I wouldn't know anything about that, waiting for my Saturn return. And then Uranus, 84 years, and Neptune, you will likely never have a Neptune return because that is about over 160 Earth years. Unfortunately, technology is not quite there. Also, what gravity does is when we're talking about celestial bodies, take the moon even, for instance. I was curious, the moon is larger than Pluto, which I know is not a planet, but it was at a certain point before they kind of saw that it didn't fit the definition of a planet. But one of the definitions of a planet is that it has enough mass that it has enough mass that gravity has forced it to become a sphere. So that is what our moon is, sort of. So technically, nothing in our solar system is a perfect sphere. They are oblate spheroids because everything has its own rotation, and that rotation forces those shapes to bulge a little bit at the equator. Take Earth, for instance. Our shortest diameter is about 47 kilometers shorter than our longest, which is around the equator. So, I mean, relatively speaking, it's going to look like a sphere. However, those bigger planets, Jupiter, Saturn, they have much faster rotations. What their days are much shorter than what our days are, so they do bulge a little bit more. If you are looking for the best approximation of a sphere, that is the sun. Again, I spoke about how we have that 47-kilometer difference between our shortest and our longest diameters. The sun, being much larger than the Earth, you can fit over 1 million Earths in the sun. They only have a 10-kilometer difference. So if you were to scale the sun down to the size of a beach ball, that's about the difference of the size of a human hair. So the sun is the closest thing we have to a perfect sphere, but everything in our solar system is an oblate spheroid. Then you have things like meteors, asteroids. They typically don't have enough mass to be spherical objects, so they tend to be a little bit more oddly shaped, more potato-shaped, not quite that perfect sphere, which you get when you are a massive object and the effects of gravity are working on you. So I was curious what days then looked like on planets because they're not as reliant on specific gravitational pulls toward the sun. This is their y-axis rotation, if you will, what a day is. So on Mercury, these are now in hours. So this is about 1,400 hours. Venus actually has the longest days at over 5,800 hours. Earth, 24. Mars, pretty comparable, 25-hour days. Jupiter has 10-hour days. Saturn, 11. Uranus, 17. Neptune, 16. You notice the further we get from the sun, though, they are relatively shorter days. And of course, all the gas giants have the shortest days. And if you want to compare them again to Earth days, Mars is that one that's close. Venus, it is 243 Earth days. It is pretty comparable to exactly how long their year is as well. I think it is just a little, no, it's a little bit longer. So their day is longer than their year. Remember, that was about 225. So I just think all of this is very fascinating. I love space. I know it's not technically, meteorology, but I do love it. And then the other force I did want to briefly touch upon is the Coriolis force. Sometimes we call it a force. It's really more an effect because it's not a specific force like gravity that's acting upon any object. It's more just what happens because of the Earth's rotation. Things don't exactly move perfectly straight. You kind of have that curve. So that's how we have those trade winds moving to the east, the westerlies, which are in the mid-latitudes, that's for us, moving to the west, and then the polar easterlies as well. And that is very helpful whenever we're looking at storm tracks, for instance, like when you're tracking hurricane season, that doesn't start until June, but they do follow the trade winds, especially when it's a wave coming off of the coast of Africa. It's south enough, it's in the tropics, it's going to be moving easterly. That's why we track them coming toward us. But then once they come up the east coast or make landfall in the US, then they're back into those mid-latitudes and they actually move more in that westerly direction. So I could talk more about the Coriolis force. It affects a lot of the things, especially whenever you're calculating the physics and the equations when it comes to meteorology. But I thought gravity was kind of the more fun one, especially for today. So I can do the Coriolis force another day.
A lot of that was bringing me back to meteorology degree and all those different equations. You always had those constant forces, and gravity, and of course that 9.8 meters per second, the Coriolis effect, all of that. It's like
yeah,
bringing it all back.
Gravitational acceleration.
Yeah, exactly. I know. You got to balance all those forces. So awesome. Always fun. And we will be back with more Beyond the Forecast after the break.
Welcome back, and just to close out, kind of keeping in theme with space and moons, small moons, not a Death Star, definitely not. So all the full moons have different names. The one for May is the the flower moon. We actually just had that on the 1st, but what's fun about this year is that we are also going to have a blue moon on the 31st. So not every year do you get a blue moon, because a blue moon definitionally is the second full moon within the same month. I have it kind of highlighted because it's also going to be a micro moon, just like how with Earth's orbit we have periods where we're closer to the sun and when we're farther away from the sun. That is the same thing for the moon, and a micro moon is when you have the full moon when it is at its furthest point of the sun. So something to kind of look forward to. It's not going to be blue in color, but that will be our blue moon, because you don't get one every year. Timing has to really work out for you.
Yeah, looking forward to the flower and strawberry moons, full moons, always fun. All right, so we will be back tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Storm Team 2, Beyond the Forecast. Have a great day, everyone.